I think the nastiness in the Conservative Party leadership race reached its nadir with death threats to Penny Mordaunt. But there's so much else which is unacceptable about the Conservative leadership race, not least the tweaking and the nudging behind the scenes, the dark arts, and the alarming fingers of Boris and Nadine Dorries and all these other individuals who should be by rights on the way out, who have been tarred and smeared with failure. And if Boris thinks anybody should go into the House of Lords, it should be him, and maybe his predecessor, Mrs. May. Both of them have to rule out absolutely a possible return to number 10 as the Prime Minister. They have to rule this out, and they have to take that decision themselves, I think. So if there is anybody that Boris should be elevating into the House of Lords, it should be himself. And nobody else, because nobody else deserves that privilege. Does Boris deserve the privilege? Not at all. Does Mrs. May deserve the privilege? Not at all. Does David Cameron? Not at all. But all of them need to rule themselves out as potential prime ministers. And I think putting themselves into the House of Lords is one way of severely and securely doing that. They should be imprisoned in the House of Lords so they can do no further damage. All three of them have proven to be disasters. Cameron started off really quite well and hedged in by Nick Clegg. Actually, he looked as if he was one of the better prime ministers of the post-war period. But then power went to his head. Mrs. May, well, power never really quite got into her fingertips. She thought that she could manage everything by moving paper around. Actually, one manages far more by moving the loo paper around than Mrs. May actually succeeded in achieving. Mrs. May would have been so much better unravelling a roll of loo paper. Indeed, maybe that's what she was doing. As for Boris had promise. He was really a very good mayor. And he had charisma. He squandered that by losing our trust. He lost our trust, not so much through his own lies, because we knew he was a liar, but through accepting and endorsing other people's lies and misbehaviour. We can think of Matt Hancock in the stationery cupboard. "Ooh, missus, ooh, can I favour your pencil? My pencil needs a little sharpening. Ooh, it's an HB. And Priti Patel. Don't think I've been bullying anyone. Shut up! And Liz Truss. I haven't opened an envelope since I arrived. Love the earrings. Are they cheap? Mine aren't. Mine £6,000. Wouldn't go anywhere without them. And the list goes on. Gove and Raab. Oh, just sunning myself, slapping on some Factor 10. Who doesn't? It's staggering the number of ministers whose folly has been condoned by Boris. It's not Boris's lies which are the problem. It's Boris's tolerance of second-rate behaviour. Why? Because he stupidly thinks, and here I'm trying to look inside Boris's mind, underneath the hair, look inside Boris's mind, and I think Boris believes that if he surrounds himself by second-raters, he will look better. So stupid, so stupid. The only way to lead a country, the only way to lead a business, the only way to lead anything is to surround yourself by people who are better than you. And be humble enough to recognise that fact.